It's Friday. Hey, how are you doing? Last Friday of July, and a day which won't seem like a last Friday in July. Won't seem summer-like at all. It's meteorologist Ted Keller. Here's the radars. Recording this about 6:30 in the morning. So for future use, just keep in mind this data will be old if you look at this a few hours from now. I'll start the loop, and you can definitely see that we're going to get rain in the Ozarks. It's going to be hard to avoid, and steady summer rains always welcome. Usually when rain comes in the summer, it's very spotty, somewhat unfair, hitting one town, not another, hitting one county, not another. This one looks a little more in line with an all-day rain. In fact, if I extend this rain shower activity goes all the way from Chicagoland down to Texas with the heavier, somewhat severe weather in Oklahoma. I don't expect any severe thunderstorms in the Ozarks at all. It's all part of this upper-level trough, which I have marked here. These are the upper-level wind flows. 500 millibars is something I'll talk about in this report a lot. So there's that little kink, if you will, in the flow that's producing the rain and the scattered thunderstorm activity this morning. That will move on through. And generally speaking, this low to the north here is going to kind of settle in over the weekend. It's going to keep us in the cool air business here for quite a number of days, as you'll see in the extended forecast here, or even in the weekend forecast. It's looking pretty good. Here's what July has done so far. We've had several hot weather runs where we got the 95 twice, 94 a handful of times too. Lately, it's not been as hot, a couple of spurts of heat here and there. But when I update this, of course, in a couple of days, it's going to reflect the fact that today's high will only be in the 70s, as will Saturday's, and Sunday will barely get into the 80s across the area. So very different than July of last year. We were just setting up for another run of 100-degree days, and we'd already broken many records, and the hottest was yet to come at this time last year. And little did we know, a couple of 106-degree days were in our future, but nothing like that at all. In fact, we are swinging the pendulum quite in the opposite direction. That 500 millibar flow I was talking about, this is the one computer model's projection of how it will look on Saturday, with that upper level low hanging over the Great Lakes, over Wisconsin, and generally anything underneath these systems is cool, with high pressure at the surface usually located over here somewhere, and that's exactly what's going to happen, keeping us in the highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s, couple mornings in a row. This is what it looks like on Monday with that low moving off. Another little trough or disturbance kind of moving through. That'll set off more showers and storms. There may even be another one after that later in the week. Collectively, then, that just keeps our rain chances coming, and it also keeps us relatively cool. It keeps hot air from really building in when we keep having these disturbances knock down that ridge that sometimes builds in the summer. So today's temperature projections, computer model trends, keeping us in the 70s, mid-70s, maybe a tad warmer tomorrow because of a little more sunshine, and even more so on Sunday, but all this very much below the normals. Let me come back to that rainfall. This is not from one storm, but this is an experimental sort of 7-day rain cumulative forecast. And even if just half of that works out, it would be great for the Ozarks. Southwest Missouri, Northwest Arkansas in particular are targeted for good rains. This is collectively today's, Monday's, and probably another one later next week. Looks good. And the latest drought monitor was issued on Thursday. Now, the data cutoff point for this is always on Tuesday morning. So this drought monitor does not include some of the showers and thunderstorms we got a couple of days ago. And they were somewhat spotty, but definitely targeted Arkansas better than Missouri. And then, of course, today's will knock this down some more. So by the time we look at this next week, hopefully it'll be at least flatlined, if not maybe whittled away at a little bit. Tropical storm Dorian is a little early season, and for storms that form out in the Atlantic so far out like this one does, usually they curve back out to sea, but the latest projections this morning are all clustering on a more westward track instead of curving. So that could have implications for the East Coast. And most of these hurricanes, of course, do turn eventually to the north as the jet stream flow catches them. It's just always a question of when will that happen. And the official forecast for Dorian has it in the southern, southeastern Bahamas by Wednesday. So we'll see if this affects Florida and the eastern coast. I don't think it'll go into the Gulf, but this many days out, nothing is certain. So here's our 7-day forecast. 76 today with the rain and thunder, 78 on Saturday, lower 80s. We may have a crack at 90 next week, but again, these little disturbances and generally a lack of hot air building aloft will keep real bad heat out of the Ozarks for at least the next 7 days. We'll have another report tomorrow.